Animals and Fire is a performance art platform in Washington, D.C. to heighten performance art literacy. Animals and Fire brings artists from all around the world here in Washington, D.C. Performance art is, I feel like it's more of a question than it is an answer, so we're not trying to find the answer to performance art, but what we're trying to do is to bring more voices into that conversation. We figure the best way to do that is exposure, meaning that we just expose Washington, D.C. community to performance art at a greater frequency. Performance art brings an emotional resonance, not hit as frequently in our traditional ways of entertainment. Coming from a performing arts world as a storyteller, my primary goal is to entertain. Like, people are there to enjoy whatever it is that's coming out of my mouth. Performance art gets rid of that pesky need to entertain people. It strikes this emotional note or this emotional resonance that very rarely we actually get that note hit. So much is given to us when we're doing theater and watching a movie. You know, the audience is, they know what to expect. With performance art, they don't know what they expect, so therefore they have to be more present and have to do more work in order to actually get what they want to get or need to get, which can be anything in performance art, whatever you want to get the need to get out of it.
Well, we started on 9th and U Street, Northwest, and we walked down 9th all the way to S Street, where we encountered Memorial Day parade.
We didn't expect it, but we crossed 2 parades. There was, of course, lots of tourists because Memorial Day.
And then we walked across S Street to 7th Street, and then walked from there all the way down to the Capitol Mall. We weren't supposed to interact with anybody, so when people ask us for pictures or what are we doing, we just kind of like just keep going, doing what we're doing. And
everybody has tape at home, so they do not take it as a costume. They take it as, oh, I could have done it, and that's very important because then they personalize it more. Because it is simple.
The face covering can be a little uncanny and unsettling, but most people, greeted us with a smile.
I think I've never had so many people take my picture in my life. Well, they won't know it's me, but...
It's quite toxic, it's very bright. There's a very loud noise when you pull it. It makes that kind of... And especially when it's kind of going around your head, it's quite scary almost. You know, it's sticky, so it can stick to your hair. So there's elements of that. You have to be cut out of it.
It was really interesting. We did run into different racial groups as we were walking through the city. First we ran into a predominantly black group that was at the parade on S Street. They were much more vocal about their opinions. They kind of let us know everything they were thinking, which was great. I was surprised to see how accepting DC was to what we were doing.
I love when there was this parade and all the girls were doing their movement, looking at us like if we were the center of the fair.
I think probably the most attractive part of it is the removal of any kind of identifying characteristics. And in this city, we're going through what they call gentrification, so it's really interesting to see how people self-identify and then somehow, and on that same coin, like how people actually identify and classify people. So it'd be interesting to see how a city who's like really deep in the midst of that right now, like how they would respond to a group of people that basically identities were unknown. The desire, almost a struggle on their part to actually find out what we were doing, who we were, and why we were. That was consistent throughout the entire day, and it did a lot for me as a performer to like really pick up on that, you know, to hear that same thing, you know, questioning your identity. Who are you? What are you? Why are you? That was the biggest challenge between us and the audience, was people almost demanding to know our identity.
a group of children basically gathered around me and started hugging my legs and my hips and stopped me completely. I could not keep going without pushing them, so I just stopped. And I was like, okay. And then slowly their mother started telling them, maybe you should let him go. The rest of the group is so far ahead. And so they finally like let me go and let me walk away. But then as I started crossing the street at that moment, two kids grabbed both my hands and then crossed the street with me like this, which, you know, then I did like hold the hands a little bit. I cheated.
All these little kids who came, and you know, I'm always saying to the performer, do not react. But they were just so cute that I couldn't help myself, and I touched one, and you know, obviously he was at the same time so happy, and it kind of freaked out at the same time. So there was this kind of funny dialogue between us.
There were the multiple names of what we were being called, you know, Power Rangers, Teletubbies, Jelly Babies, Safe Sex.
There was one lady in particular who just seemed to be very excited about what we were doing, and I was just amazed because I was like, you know, she probably has no real frame of reference, but I think what she saw in that, and probably what put the sparkle in her eye, was the fact that she probably saw a liberated group of people walking and just not having to attend to anything in the world. Like nothing in the world really mattered other than just their existence. And they were just going along and experiencing all the things that happened around them, all these variables that were moving. There were all kinds of moving variables. I think she in turn felt liberated by that. I mean, she was just so affirming. She just wanted to make sure. I think she said to every person that walked by, she's like, "Oh God, this is so good. You know, this is, you know, you guys are really doing it." And in my mind, I'm like, doing what? And but you know, in her mind, she seemed to have a very clear picture of what it was we were doing. You know, walking down the street, erasing my identity was, number one, very liberating. Very interested to see if it were easier for me to get a cab wrapped in purple tape than it would for me to just be my normal self. That would be a very interesting experiment, and I thought that crossed my mind during the walk. It's like, gosh, if I threw my hands up right now, would I be able to get where I wanted to be?
I believe that we were giving people a chance to experience something very unusual and to hence reflect upon just their daily life. So we were going down the street, we were in these costumes, a lot of people were going to a parade, they were expecting something that happens every year in some sense, something very habitual, you know, they knew what was going to happen, and all of a sudden we appear. And then to them, it was, you know, there was some form of excitement. I believe that they were drawing from that because yes, there was going to be the happiness and the pleasure of the parade, but now all of a sudden there's this very unusual thing, and we were giving them the chance to react for themselves towards this. Right? We were giving them the chance to ask questions that were remaining unanswered. Eventually, I mean, they'll think about it. Maybe some people will go on and try to find out what performance art is and these sorts of things.